Hello, everyone. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how. It's free. Isn't that awesome? There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Is that amazing or what? It's everything you need to make your podcast in one place. So, here is a call to action for you. I would recommend you start your podcast today. Download the free Anchor app, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. Talk with you soon. Greetings and salutations, and I hope all is well with everyone. Welcome to another episode of MiThyme Motivation. It's your host, Tasha Ryder. With many things, I just want to always remember to say thank you. So thank you to all the essential workers and the frontline workers that are out there doing what you all have to do in support of your families each and every day. With that being said, I definitely have something that I want to say. So let's get started. So today's episode is going to be about the need to say something. The need to say something. And the reason for the episode is, as we definitely know, we're living under quarantine, we're living in intense times. I felt very pressed to just sit and hear my thoughts. And it wasn't that my voice became extremely silent, but it was just really about spending time with myself and beginning to understand what is happening out here is something that African American people, we have dealt with for many years. And while we haven't been here for 400 years, if you've lived 30 years, or if you've lived 40 or 50 or more years, you've seen the face of racism. You've seen oppression. You've seen people having suppressed feelings and putting on a smiling face. I personally have walked into boardrooms where the boardroom looked like the walls that were painted, and I was the only person of color in the room. And I've attended universities that way. And I remember going into lecture halls, and I was the only African American brown-skinned person in the room with 500 people. So neither the professors in my program or the students looked like me, because I chose to not go to a historically black university. There was always that option. But I just decided, because the world isn't 100% African American, that I needed and felt very pressed to integrate myself into the multitudes of colors that are in the world. My parents never taught us to see color, so I did not feel, as a kid, say, some type of way in regards to making that transition. It was not my first choice, but the university I attended was my second choice. And it was more cost effective for me as well. And I knew that I would not incur $1 billion in student loan debt for that one particular degree. So it was a smart choice that I believe that I made, and it did just that. I can also remember going to class one evening at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and a bonfire was going with a group of Caucasian males that had their heads shaved, and they were calling themselves skinheads. Well, because I had studied civil rights with my parents, I knew that was not a positive thing, but I refused to let that deter me as they were standing in between the lines of my safety and my ability to get home. I decided to walk through that bonfire, no matter what the risk was, and I was willing to take it because I decided at 18 years old to fight against the racism and injustices of the world. And I felt that if anyone had an opportunity to go to a university that was a person of color, then I knew that my voice mattered to me, if to no one else, and that I had every right to be there, just as so many people in my Black history books had every right to stand up for their civil rights and against injustice and racism in the world. And so in that moment, I figured in my mind, if today is the day that harm should come to me, so be it. But I knew that God would keep me, and my parents would always know that I was following a dream, I was following my purpose, and I was following my passion, because I felt that it was my right to be educated, the need to say something. And so that's my story. I'm hoping that out of what we see and the evils that we know and many people are seeing and understanding for the first time, maybe it's your first moment, your first minute, your first second, your first day, your first week, the first month in your entire life, that you've been curious to open up a book called Racism in America. Racism doesn't just exist in this country. We see it everywhere. The world is color blind in many instances, or at least some people would say. It's a different topic, and I'll leave that to the historians of the world to unpack. But what I can say is there is a need to say something, and I hope and pray that everyone will use their voice to stand against injustice, to be a people of principle, to be a people of purpose, one united front in the world that we live in for global unity. So no matter where a person of color should be, that you're celebrated and not tolerated, that you're not overtalked or a hand isn't put up in front of your face to ensure that you know your place, to ensure that you know at any moment life can be snatched from you as you know it to be, and silence happens. Never again. I hope never again. I pray never again will the world be silenced in the face of racism. 400 years. 400 years. That's 400 years. So I know you've seen a lot of social media around this. Hashtag enough. I've even seen some people on YouTube saying with courage that you want to learn more. I applaud you for that. I applaud you for your voice. And there's a lot out there that's available to you in any library, online, on Google. Just do the research. We have access to it, the information at our fingertips because of the world that we live in. Brace yourselves. You may need a box of tissue, and hopefully you will begin to understand what we of the people of color, African American, Black people, what we know to be the injustices and uglies of the world. So, I know this channel is called MiThyme Motivation, and I hope that you all will be motivated today to never give up, to never quit, to look for the truth as often as you can find it. If you search for it, if you seek it, you shall find it. And I want you to be motivated on today while we lay Brother George Floyd to rest. My prayers and condolences go out to his family, immediate and distant. He seems like a family member to all of us already, even though we've never had a conversation. But he's our brother. May you rest in peace on today, brother. And may the lives that you've impacted be forever changed. The need to say something. Thanks for being here with me and taking the time to listen. Change is inevitable, or at least that's what I've always been told. In 2020, the fight is for immediate change. Not change that will take another 400. We need change now. With that being said, I hope you stay motivated. I hope you stay encouraged. I hope you stay empowered to say something. This is Tasha Ryder, your host of MiThyme Motivation. Be well, be blessed, and stay at peace. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of MiThyme Motivation.